What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video. Today we are gonna take a look at Iron Man Mark III armor suit up version, and you can pre-order this when it's available at bigbadtoystore.com. I'll put the link down below. Finally, after every iteration that we've seen so far of Mark III, and trust me, there is a lot, there's somewhat of a canon here where it's an actual suit, which I'm sure most fans both of Iron Man and just Hot Toys would appreciate. Like I said, we all like, different colorways and different suit up version, but there's something that hits different when it's the OG Iron Man in whatever fashion, as long as it's within that realm, that it's not coming out of, it's like just somebody took a creative liberty and decided to make their own. And this is not, this, even if this is, it's the original colorway and it's the suit up version, which they have been doing lately. They've done it for Mark 7, Mark 6, Mark 5. I think they maybe not Mark 6, but you get the idea here. It is beautiful. Mark 33, so it looks nice. I personally don't have Mark III 2.0. So I honestly would appreciate just a reissue of Mark III 2.0 at this point. But I'll take it. I don't know if I'm going to buy this yet. I'm not positive on that. This would still look good in, I would say, in a Hall of Armor, because that is my eventual goal, is to complete my original 7 in the Hall of Armor. Now, I missed a few. Like I said, I missed Mark III. I missed Mark II. Honestly, with Mark II, I can just get the Diecast version. It doesn't need to be the 2.0, because those guys are just gonna sit or stand, so to speak, in a Hall of Armor. So it doesn't need to be the most expensive / the latest and greatest version of the suit. Although this guy right here looks phenomenal, I would say. I do like him. I like the suit. I like the idea of just, bringing it together. Do you need it? Does Iron Man collectors need it? I mean, Iron Man collectors would, for the most part, they would buy anything Iron Man because they're just so cool. Like, no one needs a suit up version, but damn, that they look good. Is it a big difference? Let's say if you are just a casual collector, and let's just say you love the first Iron Man and you already have Mark III 2.0. Do you need this? I don't think so, because I think the Mark III 2.0 is very solid. It's more than enough to represent even just one Iron Man in your figure. That's how good the figure is. Well, with that being said, if you're like, just a pretty hardcore Iron Man guy, this is not a bad. I would take this version more than any version of Iron Man Mark III that's out there outside of the original one, not the suit up version. The only thing that would top this, I don't know if that would even exist, is like a battle damage version, so I don't even know how that would look like, because I don't remember the film all that well now to know if there's any substantial difference, if there's any major damage to the suit in the first movie. But the blue LED light always just shines when you have this kind of figure. The base is reminiscent of the Flash, where it's kind of light. This is a heavy figure. It's a die cast. It'll hold up. And then you got this kind of gantry type Mark VI type of just attachment to the base itself, just to give it a little flair. This circular base looks good in theory, especially if you are just displaying one figure at a time, which I think that is the idea here. It's not like those hexagonal base where there's a plus to that, because you can kind of attach them together, especially if you have detolf or a big case where you're trying to save space. Because honestly, at this point in my collecting career, I have multiple figures in one cab, so that helps. When it's circle like this, it's hard. It does take up space. You can't cut corners because there is none. so you can't put him all the way in the back or something of a D12. So, but with that being said, there's something new about this, and that is the rolling eyeball system, which we haven't seen before, in an open mask version. I don't know how that's going to work out. Probably from the underneath or the back. I hope it's the back, because as much as I like the idea, and I like it, for the rolling eyeball system to be underneath, the fact that you got to remove the head sculpt every single time, and they're not easy to put back. You know, you always feel like you're going to break something in there, or when you're about to pinch the head down, the eyeballs will move. And now they're going to have like this crazy eye. I hope it's somewhere in the back, because his helmet has a lot of grooves anyway, that you could get away with a line that wouldn't be so intrusive to, you know, that would seem like there's a gap. There's lines on the back of his helmet. So if you do it correctly, which I hope they do, you won't necessarily need to be able to remove the head sculpt. And that would be brilliant, in my opinion. You know, I like the idea of being seamless and being as realistic as possible, but at the same time, I also like the idea of convenience. Very few times that I took a picture of my figure or displayed them with the back turned around. You know, like, I appreciate it. Like with DX09, he has a cut on his cowl, which is not a good look. But now on the DX09 2.0, you got to remove the cowl, which is, you know, also a big pain in the ass. I don't remember my DX09, which being displayed with his back turned against, you know, like with the camera taking the picture of his back. Even if you did that, the lines are so small that you can probably Photoshop it. But, you know, I get it. We're evolving. We don't want those kind of seams. But in this case, we could do that. But I like it. I like this look. I'd always love Iron Man Mark III. You know, like I said, I could buy the first diecast. It's a bit undersized, but I also like just Mark III. Mark II, I could do that with the first diecast. You know, like I don't envision myself, you know, taking out Mark II and taking a picture of it. Mark III, on the other hand, looks great. So for now, I'm 50-50 on this, not because of, you know, the looks or anything or the price. It's, yeah, I don't know if I want to spend that much, but we'll see. We'll see. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? If you missed out on Mark III, do you think this is a good stand-up? Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.